So, bing, part two. Now, again, I don't know. I don't know anything about. If there is, please somebody tell me. But I haven't found any useful channel of information from, let's say, Australia or Canada. You know, what is happening there? What do they think? What do they feel? What is they think is going on in the world? Again, this could be almost internet too. Kujala rants on about internet too, because the internet, after everything, it is a very useful tool for information, but it has been more and more. It seems to be used for entertainment and lifestyle. You have countless YouTube channels and vlogs and others about, you know, entertainment, funny things, reactions to this, reaction to that, vines, fashion, food, all sort of, you know, stuff, but very little somebody, you know, speaking philosophy, except from very few countries, and again, it has to be in English. So anyway, so is the internet again? Is it again freedom that has brought a lot of stupidity? I don't know. Anyway, does Europe need its own TYT? Does Canada need its own TYT? Does Asia need its own TYT? I don't know. Finland certainly does. This is what worries me. I mean, the U.S. situation is quite clear. You know, where it's been in the awful periods, Nixon, Reagan periods, when, you know, when corporations, private corporations, have taken over, you know, the media. There is no public media. It's all private. And again, in the Reagan period, you know, if memory serves right, they made it quite legal for news organizations to tell lies. You know, as news, you did not have to ever report the truth anymore. It doesn't matter what you say. So again, if you take away a watchdog's duty to watch, what do you think is going to happen? So anyway, this is pretty much quite clear. You know, you have giant corporations who have bought all of the media and all the politicians, and because of corporate media, pretty much all of the United States lives in alternate reality, except those few people who get their news from the internet and from the right place and not just anywhere. And rest of the country is on, you know, it relies on the old-fashioned media and lives in alternate reality. Trump supporters more than others. So that's all clear. But again, without, for example, me knowing it, have giant corporations taken over the entire world already, and the European media is in the tank too. Because, well, we get very soon. And again, I'm just as ignorant as your average United Statian. That, you know, our media is completely useless. And I know, certainly if you think of it, the giant corporations, they've dictated CETA, they've dictated TTP, and now they're dictating TTIP. So certainly that is happening. But again, is the European media owned by corporations as well? Because, or controlled through some other way than just simply, because this is pretty much, I have here the article on Vallonia's opposition, short-lived opposition to CETA from the leading Finnish newspaper. And to me, this is indicative of how things are reported in Finland about everything. And it's complete crap. The headline is about Valonian asterixes. Okay, so they're comic book characters. Anyone opposing so-called free trade agreements is a comic book character. If you don't know who Asterix is, please find out. It's hilarious. And it's full of this sort of coffee table conversation about where people from Brexit people in Britain are aligned with Donald Trump and populists throughout Europe, where they're lumping together Brexit people, Donald Trump, and let's say Viktor Orban. I mean, this is complete and utter crap, gossip, and silly ideas. And it is the default position from the very beginning on this and on everything. Finland going to the EU, on globalization, on so-called free trade and free market. It's always been that it's all progress, and the default position is that it's good. And no explanation is given why would it be good. The only part where there is actual fact, just fact here, in this whole article, is this little bit here. And out of that little bit, this very small space is reserved for the facts from anyone opposing Ceta. In this case, Valonian politicians, but then, citizens groups, the most important things you can have in the world, and other instances who oppose Ceta. And again, it's very interesting. The wording here is pretty much exactly the same as it was when you saw anything, in the corporate media, anything from the North Carolina pipeline, where it was, there was something very short, and it was opponents of the pipeline worry that. It's almost the same kind of thing here, opponents of Ceta worry that. It's pretty much the same kind of thing. But again, that they're worried that it gives, giant corporations the keys to challenge European legislation and European standards. Yeah, it does. They're also worried that it weakens workers' rights, public services, and food safety. And then this is drum talk, and the environment. The environment. I guess, environmental safety, environmental protection, whatever. And yeah, that's what it does. That's what it all does. And again, if you take all this stuff, free trade, it isn't free trade. It's nothing to do with trade. One corporation being able to work around the world it doesn't have to trade with anything. It isn't trade. A free market. Having a giant corporation from a very mercantilist, very protectionist country taking over small businesses in a country that doesn't have the same protectionism, that is not free market. That has nothing to do with freedom. That's like war. And again, globalization. What would you say it has done? That's the interesting thing. You have the proof of what anything is, what free trade is, what globalization is, what neoliberalism does, what all these free trade agreements, even though they have nothing to do with trade, but except they're just placing giant corporations over all sorts of rules, regulations. What has neoliberalism done to you? The robber baron capitalism. Again, it depends where you are from. But, from an advanced country, has it not weakened workers' rights, public services, food and any other safety? And has it been absolutely a complete disaster for the environment. Of course it has. It has, so we can, whatever they've done so far, it has made your life worse. That's your proof, isn't it? But then if you want any sort of numbers, figures, something to prove, yeah, this is all numbers prove this. And there's absolutely nothing to prove, no number to prove neoliberalism ideas, these sort of things like trickle-down economics and the benefits of corporations swallowing up, firstly small businesses and then other big corporations, and finally having only 6 big giant corporations ruling the world. There's absolutely nothing that proves this to be beneficial to anyone except the billionaire class. And it is absolutely ridiculous to claim that then it's improved the lives of people from those poor countries where all the production have been moved to and all the works have been outsourced. Those people, their lives should not be embittered, at our expense, so to speak. At all the work of unions and so on going to waste in the countries that already had human rights. The lives of the people in those poorer countries where they do slave work, their lives should be embittered through throwing over their own governments or embettering their own societies, not worsening ours. It is so elementary that it is ridiculous. None of this stuff has ever been proven in any way that this robber baron capitalism, neoliberalism, that it works. There is no proof. And yet, everywhere where I can see in the general media, it is taken as the absolute gospel. And you are, at least in Finland, you are supposed to believe that something like Ceta is good because the big and powerful say that it is. Because the elite says that it is good. And Finnish people, at least, are very good at yes, master. But it's very interesting. I wouldn't dream of trusting Finnish politicians and European leaders or any of our elite. I haven't chosen one Finnish politician or Euro representative. In the Finnish system, firstly, the Euro representatives, you are given the list. I don't have a choice to say who I want to vote for. I'm given to choose. I should be choosing from very bad options. Same with Finnish presidential elections. It is absolutely if you don't have anything but bad candidates, it doesn't matter how many parties you have. If you have only bad candidates from every party, who are you going to vote for? If you don't support any of them, that's the interesting bit. In Finland, we have many parties, not just 2 parties, but they're all bad. And every party is some way controlled by somebody, and I don't yet know who. But they talk one thing when they're in opposition, then they have no legal requirement to change that. So then they just change everything that they do when they get into the government. So it doesn't matter whether you vote right or left, you get centrist right policy. Each and every time. And when it comes to Finnish elections, I have never, there's not one people in the Finnish parliament, no one sits there that I've voted for. I always vote for somebody. I vote somebody I think is qualified and good and so on. But they never get enough votes. So all their votes go to somebody else in their party. So my vote goes to somebody that I have not voted for. And I have absolutely no trust in. So it is absolutely ludicrous to think that I would trust the Finnish politicians and would take just their word that our free trade agreement that has nothing to do with free trade, would be good.